Oh, yeah, we're not the suits that talk football. We're the dudes that know football. And you've just crossed over into the trend zone. Casey here with Dave. We are the football dudes. Dave, are you ready, bro?
Oh, yeah. You got that right, my friend.
Ah, yeah, that's the signpost up ahead. Your next stop, the trend zone. It's Wednesday, February 7th. We're coming to you from Los Angeles, California. And it's a beautiful 56 degrees, Dave. The atmospheric river finally stopped flowing, bro. It's dry today.
Dude, we survived the deluge, but it was pretty crazy.
It was flooding everywhere, but you know what they always say? But we needed the rain. We
Yeah,
needed
we didn't need those mudslides though. You
Yeah,
know,
no.
mud.
Mud and flood bad, rain good. In today's episode, we'll talk about the coaching carousel. It's totally full, and we'll tell you about the last coach to hop on board. Clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose. We'll talk a little Friday Night Lights, NFL style, baby. And of course, the biggest game of the year, Super Bowl 58. But Dave, we can't talk Super Bowl until we pack a Super Bowl full of tasty nugs. What you got?
All right, you might want to save your money for more of those tasty nugs, Casey, rather than purchasing a Super Bowl ad. Once again, the cost of the Super Bowl spot, 30 seconds will run you a cool 7 mil or $233,333 per second.
Righteous Bucks.
Yeah, it's a little bit costly, but
Yeah.
hey, it's worth it. Well worth
I
it.
think I will save my money for nugs because you know why? I don't have to spend any money on the Trend Zone, the podcast you're listening to right now for free on subscription, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcast, and Amazon Music. Get out there, like and subscribe. All right, Dave. Pretty good news for your Chargers or our Los Angeles Chargers last week.
That's right.
Obviously, hiring Jim Harbaugh as the new head coach and stealing player personnel, Joe Ortiz from the Ravens to be your new GM. More good news for the Chargers.
That's right. They bring in Michigan's defensive coordinator Jesse Minter to do the same job for the Chargers. Bring in Greg Roman to become the offensive coordinator as well. So two solid hires. And we brought in this strength coach from Michigan that's also got a reputation of really setting the dudes up in the weight room to be successful. Everything just seems to be coming together. Chargers hitting on all the right moves right now.
Yeah, Charger, anti-Charger, charging. Good stuff, man. I don't know how to react.
We're
It's pretty
breaking the bank
exciting.
here in this
Yeah,
offseason too on the staff.
yeah, it's going to be good. All right, Dave, when we left the show last week, there was one final opening on the carousel. Carousel is shut down. All seats are full.
Yeah, the Commanders were the team uh, that was still searching. Casey, they have found their guy. It is former Cowboy, your guy there, DC Dan Quinn from the Cowboys is now their new head coach. So it's going to be pretty awesome to see what he can do there. Obviously, in the division, incest is best, I guess, in the East.
Yeah, he had been interviewing for jobs last couple of years. They really thought he was going to be gone. Came back, had a lot of success. The playoffs didn't end so well for Dan. The Durs were the last one to hire their coach. He's also bringing Joe Witt Jr. with him. He's the DC. He was much beloved in Cowboy land, but he got to go because of the promotion there. So we'll see if DQ can get it turned around in DC. But Dave, they also have a new OC in Washington, and this one brings lots of speculation.
Yeah, interesting indeed. As Cliff Kingsbury has agreed to be the OC there in Washington, and he obviously has recently been coaching a one Caleb Williams, who is arguably going to be the top pick in the draft
Mhm.
speculatively. The Washington football team has the second pick in the draft. So one would wonder if there's any way they could get their hands on that first pick, or would they be okay with a different quarterback? Or is this move that they're making here at the offensive coordinator position suggesting that they're willing to climb up that one spot and pay what it takes to get their guy?
New ownership, new coach, new GM,
Money.
new DC, new OC. I think they need to make a big splash. Caleb Williams from the DC area played high school football there.
True.
I think they are going to figure out a way to make that happen. Dave, any more big news in the coaching ranks? Maybe some lineage from former good coaches.
That's right. Let's see. So a lot of moves were made, Casey. It's hard to even narrow
You
it
can't
down
keep up
here.
with all the coordinator stuff. There is actually so much of it. It seems busier than ever before. I mean,
It
we know
does.
each year there's like 7 or 8 head coaches, but like the
All
coordinator
the
shuffle is ridiculous
Yeah,
now.
actually, the Titans, they bring in Brian Callahan, who's he's going to be, on that staff there as the play caller there, and of course, he's the son of Bill Callahan, former Raiders coach who brought the Raiders to the Super Bowl. I mean, other news, that is of note in terms of dudes bringing like lineage in. How about the Rams bringing in Chris Shula, the grandson of the great coach Don Shula? He'll be their defensive coordinator there. Um, Another guy talking about that lineage situation. How about New Orleans
Saints,
bringing in
baby.
Clint Kubiak, right, to be
Cubes.
their offensive coordinator? Of course, son of Gary Kubiak. Um, Cubes. What can we say?
Cubes. Yeah, and the constant evolution of the game moves around. Few head coaches getting back into the mix. Arthur Smith, he's going to be the OC
Yeah.
in Pittsburgh. Leslie Frazier is going to be the DC under Mike McDonald in Seattle. And Dave, one more head coach, former head coach Marv Lewis is joining the Raiders.
Ooh.
Crazy.
Yeah. Some
Lots of
good gets there with those older guys that are not gonna be the guy, but they're gonna
Mhm.
sort of guide the guy a little bit, like that right hand man, that sort of wise person to lean on. So I think that those are some really good hires. I think for those organizations.
Yeah, now the Cowboys, I think that's the only DC job left out there. They're looking at Zim, they're looking at Ron Rivera, and today a word came out that Rex Ryan was getting an interview too.
Oh,
So we'll see. They're not, going the young up and comer coordinator route. They're going the old tried and true. So we will see what ultimately happens. I could expect Jera to make an announcement maybe Friday or Saturday, something that like
yeah.
usurps a little of the buzz from the Super Bowl, if that's even
He's waiting
possible.
until a couple hours before the Super Bowl so they can interview Jera at the Super Bowl.
He does
Something
everything
more
big.
important than a big game, right?
That's right. What's happening in Dallas, baby? Oh, well, speaking of Dallas and big things happening, Friday Night Lights, high school football in Texas is huge, but we got Friday Night Lights NFL style now.
Woo. Yeah. I mean, this is an awesome new twist that I didn't see coming. But opening weekend, right after that Thursday game where the Super Bowl champion will be hosting that Thursday kickoff game to start the season. Now we're talking about a Friday night game, and this one's going to be in Brazil, where they really know how to put massive events on. This thing is going to be fantastic. I'm super, super stoked that they've got this going. It's just going to make that first opening weekend that much more insane. I
Yeah.
mean, if this isn't the start of a new tradition, I'll be blown away. This one nails it for me. What do you think, Case?
Well, when you said you were getting a Brazilian, this is not what I thought was happening. So this is actually better. I'm totally stoked on this. Eagles have to travel, bring in the game, going, everywhere over the globe, man. They're just picking new places for complete domination. So
Yeah.
that is what is on board for the NFL. They also announced the host teams, the games in London. We're talking the Bears, Vikings, and Jags will all be playing in London, and the Panthers hosting the game in Germany, in Munich. And there
Yeah.
is a little
Yeah.
buzz around there that they might be hosting the Dallas Cowboys. We'll
Ooh, that'd be
see.
pretty awesome, dude. And as we talked about with this year's game in Germany, man, NFL Europe was thriving in
Mhm.
Germany. They really dig their football, so it's no surprise that this German thing will be a repeat event as well moving forward. I can imagine that part of the international landscape is increased because they definitely enjoy football in Germany.
So we had the Rhine Fire,
That's
the
right.
Berlin Thunder,
Uh-huh. That's right.
the
Frankfurt. I forget who they
Galaxy.
yeah, the Galaxy. That's right. Good call.
and the
Yeah.
Cologne
Yeah. Yeah.
Centurions, baby.
Hello and Centurions. Yeah, I think by the end of the deal, I think 5 of the 6 teams were, um, teams that were in Germany,
Yeah,
actually. So, the other teams that were in England and, Spain and stuff didn't have as good a fan support. So, the Germans, they were
they
there,
love
man. They
it.
were
They love
there
that
for it.
American football. All right, Dave. It used to seem like the 2 weeks off between the Super Bowl took forever. They finally moved the Pro Bowl activities to that off week. I know you spent a lot of time watching that, but I'm a
Berlin Thunder,
sicko.
Casey. I
Yeah.
just
Oh,
remembered
yeah.
another one.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Well,
I digress.
we went to the I watched all of the Pro Bowl activities. Some I could, yeah, but the flag game was pretty damn awesome. NFC prevails 64-59,
Woo.
much like the NFL regular season games. This thing came down to the very last possession of 4th and goal for the AFC, and the NFC gets the stop there. Like I said, some of the games are silly, but the flag is enjoyable. And I think it's up and coming. Kids aren't having to play tackle football as early in their career. 2028 Olympics also going to have flag football.
Yeah.
So I think the NFL is actually onto something here.
I think you're absolutely right there. They are onto something, and there wasn't, um, legitimate football happening in the Pro Bowl for years there.
No.
So this I kind of, narrows down the field there, and it's a lot fewer dudes going against each other, and they're going for it.
Yeah.
They're so it just ramped up the competitiveness back to where we want it to be, where we're watching pro athletes put their pride on the line and performing at their tops, trying to
Oh, yeah.
win, not
They are
just trying to
into it,
play.
dude. That's evident when you watch it play. And I can't believe I'm saying this. I like Eli Manning.
Yeah,
He's hysterical. The
yeah.
way he just ribs Peyton all the time and how intense these cats get on the sideline trying to win this game. So everybody is all in on it. And I think it's a pretty cool deal. So they could switch up some of the games, leading up to it. But I think the format is cool. You get points if you win these events, and they're applied to what the starting score of the football game is. They play a quarter, do a couple events, play another quarter, do some stuff. So
Hmm.
the NFL gets it right on most stuff.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. So this week we're heading into Vegas. And Dave, I don't know if everybody out there in Listensville has heard about this place, the Sphere,
Hmm.
but it is a multi-billion-dollar, comes out of the imagination of the MSG group. This thing is out of control, and it's just visually stunning. Tons
how,
of LED lights,
how
tons
are
of
they
everything.
incorporating this into the Super Bowl, Casey? What are we talking about here?
Already they've changed it into the helmets and done some stuff, but they're gonna have something going on during the game and showing at least stats or play from the game. They have a good idea of what's going on, and I'm sure we're gonna bump to it every commercial break. But the thing is just absolutely visually crazy, and they're doing stuff inside too, showing off Super Bowl rings from all the different Super Bowls, and kind of like the NFL experience that they do when the Super Bowl comes to town. It's happening there, but this thing has 256 million different colors, dude.
Wow.
1.2 million LED pucks spaced 8 inches apart. They're not even sure what the total capabilities of this place are. I'm going to go do a little research. Dead and Company coming to the Sphere in May of this year. I will go and give you a full report from what I can remember
Yeah,
after the show, if much.
exactly. You don't even need to be on psychedelics because that'll be provided for you by the Sphere.
It's going to be absolutely mind bending, and I'm completely stoked about it. You know what else is mind bending, Dave?
What's that?
It's Super Bowl week. Super Bowl 58 is here.
I cannot believe it, Casey. It just seems like it's gone so fast.
Yeah, it has. It's gone
It's
very
slipping
fast.
away.
It's gone, dude. It's absolutely gone. We got Super Bowl 58, the San Francisco 49ers versus the Kansas City Chiefs. The Niners are a 1.5 favorite in this thing. The over is 47.5. Dave, got some fun facts leading up to this thing. Get us started for the people.
Yeah, how about the kid stuff, Casey? Patrick Mahomes and Brock Purdy were both in elementary school the last time an NFL team won consecutive Super Bowls. that's pertinent to this one, Casey. That was, of course, the New England Patriots uh, beating the Philadelphia Eagles to get their second Super Bowl. I'm sure you gleefully remember that one. Andy Reid, of course, was on the Eagles sideline for that one. So this time, Reid, Mahomes, and the Chiefs have an opportunity to break the longest stretch there of seasons without a repeat champion in NFL history. There were 8 repeat winners over the first 39 Super Bowls, but none over the last 18 Super Bowls. So the Chiefs looking to break that spell. And Casey, how about this? Be like Mike. What does that mean? After watching his father, Mike Shanahan, win consecutive Super Bowls in 97 and 98 as head coach of the Broncos, the younger Shanahan with a victory this week would make that father-son tandem the first to do so in NFL history. So that would be pretty awesome.
Yeah, well,
I like
too
that
bad.
better than the other one with the whole
No, dude,
repeat.
let's go back to back, baby, with these Chiefs because it's Planet Mahomes, and we're all just living on it, dude. He could get his third Super Bowl victory. Only 4 previous quarterbacks: Tom Brady, Terry Bradshaw, Joe Montana, and Troy Aikman had 3 or more Super Bowls. And this sick freak, dude, Pat Mahomes is a sick freak. At 28, will become the youngest quarterback in history to start his 4th Super Bowl. 2 years faster than Tom Brady, who did it at 30, dude. And if he wins, he would join Brady and Troy Aikman as the only quarterbacks to ever win 3 Super Bowls prior to their 30th birthday.
I mean, what can you say?
He's a sicko, dude.
It's incredibly impressive. The Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and maybe even extended to Travis Kelsey combination has been just absolutely dynamite.
Yeah, absolutely crazy, man. Rock and roll.
All right, these ones go to 11, Casey. That is the number of Pro Bowls that Trent Williams, 49ers tackle, will have heading into this Super Bowl. 11 Pro Bowls, dude. Pretty impressive.
Wow. Yeah, good for Trent, former Sooner, maybe the best tackle in the game.
Yeah, no
He's
question.
awesome. What about Big Red, Dave? When Kansas
Oh,
City
no.
hired hey now or what, I don't even know what the hell Kool-Aid guy says, but either way, they hired Andy Reid on January 7th of 2013. Since that day, 11 seasons, the Chiefs have not had a losing record. No other team during that streak has gone more than 5 seasons without a losing record. Big Red has doubled that, and he's led his team to the Super Bowl in 4 of the past 5 years. So
Yeesh.
teams aren't even going more than 5 years without a losing record. This cat's going to 4 Super Bowls in 5 years. And before Big Red got there, it'd been 49 seasons without a Super Bowl, dude. So
Wow.
it's hard to believe that, the old narrative on this guy was he can't win the big game. And now it seems that's all he does.
Yeah, no doubt. And thank goodness for Tom Brady and the Bucks. Otherwise, we'd be looking at even a more insane stretch of Super Bowls here with the Chiefs here. Oof, man, those stats are. Oof.
It's crazy, dude. And the NFL is set up for that not to
Yeah,
happen.
it's
You
not
know what I
supposed to be
mean?
that way.
It's the most, there is a ton of parity, but the Chiefs said, I got your parity right here.
Yeah, no kidding, right? All right,
Mm-hmm.
something's got to give, Casey. Allegiant Stadium opened in 2020. Both of these teams are undefeated in the stadium, combining to be 5-0 at the stadium. Chiefs are 4-0. I guess that means crunching the numbers here, doing a little math. The Niners are 1-0.
Yeah. Carry the one,
Yeah,
move
sure.
the decimal 2 spots. And Dave, the 49ers going to their 8th Super Bowl, tied for second most among NFL teams. They can tie the Patriots and Steelers for most Super Bowl wins with 6. They already have 38 postseason wins. That is the most among NFL clubs. So speaking of these Niners, let's go ahead and get it started with that San Francisco offense.
All
Pretty
right. This
prolific.
offense was very, very good this year. Second in yards per game at almost 410, fourth in passing, third in rushing, and third in points at almost 29 points a game that ended the season there. They also were one of the better teams in the league on converting third downs at 47.5%. So a really, really consistent and balanced offense that the Niners are fielding here.
Yeah, it's easy to convert third downs when it's like 3rd and 1, 3rd and 3.
Yeah.
Like just you said a complete offense, and it absolutely is that. They can hit you with the run or the pass.
Yeah, they were actually the fourth team ever to have a 4,000-yard passer and four players, two running back, two wide receivers, and a tight end, each with 1,000 scrimmage yards in the same
Crazy.
season. So absolutely ridiculous. Nice balanced distribution between all kinds of different weapons, so they can get you every which way.
Yeah, and Brock Purdy looking to be the first 7th round drafted quarterback to ever win a Super Bowl, and he's gone from Mr. Irrelevant to Mr. Maybe MVP.
Yeah, no question, dude. He led the NFL, excuse me, in quarterback rating at 113, ranked third in TD passes with 31, fifth in pass yards at 4,280 in the regular season. Um, and he actually was the fifth player ever with 8 games of a passing rating of 120 plus in the season. So 8 games, man. I mean, that's insane. And in the championship game, he lit it up pretty well. 315 yards, 267 throwing the football, but even almost more impressively, 48 rushing
Yeah.
yards. We didn't see that coming in that championship game. He's going to be, he became, with that, the fourth quarterback ever with 4 playoff wins in his first 2 seasons. So, yeah, I mean, obviously overlooked in the draft
Mm-hmm.
process, but at this point in time, nobody's overlooking this dude.
And for back-to-back games against the Packers, had to bring those guys back in the fourth quarter. Against the Lions a couple weeks ago, had to bring them back again in the fourth quarter. So a lot of people are saying it's the system. It's not the system. He
Yeah.
is running this thing like a fine-tuned machine, and he's making – you got playmakers there, but he's making these guys pretty damn dynamic, dude.
No doubt about it. I mean, there are certainly playmakers here. Ayuk, 75 receptions, 1,342 yards. That was 7th most in the NFL, 7 TDs in the regular season. He had a decent game there in the championship game as well. Last time these two teams met, which was not that long ago, right? It was 22
Mm-hmm.
or something like that, 23 rather, excuse me.
Mm.
He had 7 catches for 82 yards in that game. So, and then the other dude, Deebo Samuel, when he's on versus off the field, the stats per play are like they take a
Yeah.
leap, man. 60 catches, 1,117 yards from scrimmage for Deebo, and including 225 rush yards. So they love to incorporate him into the ground game there. 12 TDs for the regular season. So 8 catches and 89 yards in the championship game. To get to the Super Bowl. So just a really impressive, arsenal of guys there at the receiving position.
Yeah, and when they played the Super Bowl 54 against those Chiefs, he had 5 catches and 92 scrimmage yards. So a big part of that. And then George Kittle, there might not be a more complete tight end in the league. He could just sit there and block you all run game long, pancaking you, and
Yeah.
then hit you for the big pass play downfield too at a moment's notice. He does a little bit of everything.
Yeah, he certainly does. He's arguably the best tight end, but certainly one of them. And we have two of the great ones on the field for this game. But 65 grabs, over 1,000 yards on the season. So that was the most yardage wise for tight ends going this season. 6 touchdowns in the regular season as well. So pretty, like I said, pretty diverse. Like you said, he loves to be involved in the run
Mhm.
game as a brutal blocker too.
Yeah, and 6 grabs, 98 yards, and a TD when they met in the regular season last time. Dave, Christian McCaffrey, dude, this guy is put together one of the most prolific seasons we've seen at the running back position. Does a little bit of everything, and
Yeah.
it's completely unstoppable.
Absolutely. I mean, we've always known this guy was oozing talent and, just a specimen, but 2,023 scrimmage yards on the season, 1,459 rush yards, um, 21 scrimmage touchdowns on the year. And he is just an absolute dynamo. When he gets it going, then everything starts working for this offense.
Yeah, and his pops, Easy Ed McCaffrey, was on those Broncos teams in the late
Yeah.
'90s. Always had the thing like his neck was like
Yeah, that's
stretching out.
right.
I remember that. And he was just a gamer too. But McCaffrey is a huge part of this offense. Run, pass game. You mentioned all that. They kind of go as he goes. But Dave, this San Francisco defense goes pretty strongly as well.
Yeah, let's start off with the general stats there. 7th in yards per game, 14th versus the pass, 3rd versus the run, and 3rd in points given up at 17.5 points per game on the season. They also pretty good at getting after the quarterback, 7th in sacks with 48 on the season, and 5th in takeaways with 24. That helped the overall turnover ratio to be a plus 10 at the end of the season. So just an excellent, and again, like the offense, very balanced and deep defense.
Yeah, and up front, it starts there. Two of the best in the game, Nick Bosa and Eric Armstead, both had solid seasons.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, Bosa is an absolute difference maker. He's made it clear to the refs also that please be on the lookout for the holding that the
Oh,
Chiefs
dude, the Chiefs
do on
hold
every play.
every play.
Every play they are holding. So Bosa has sent the warning there. Please make sure you are aware of that, because if he gets a chance to get it going, he can really put some heat on the quarterback. Obviously, it's tough to get Mahomes down, but this guy Bosa, man, he is the absolute beast at attacking the quarterback.
Yeah, 2 sacks in the NFC Championship, 10 sacks in 11 playoff games. And dude, Eric Armstead, he had a fumble recovery in the NFC Championship game, was a huge turning point in that game after the Jahmyr Gibbs picked it up and watched that Detroit lead go
Yeah,
bye-bye
no,
right
I
after
mean,
that.
filling out that line, you got Chase Young, right, and Javon Hargrave. I mean, this is just
Randy Gregory.
really, really deep group that can really send waves after you. And do each of these guys could be the dude that makes a big play here or there that changes the game.
Yeah, and as good as they are up front, they're even better at linebacker, and I'll fight you if you say any differently.
No, God, I know. Fred Warner, arguably the best linebacker in the game at this
Mhm.
point, led the team with 132 tackles, had 11 passes defensed, and 4 picks in the regular season. And I mean, he is just the guy that's everywhere all the time.
Yeah, his versatility is insane, but the motor that he plays with, the want to like, and the physicality of his, I just love this guy's game. I hate that he's on the Niners, but you can count on him to make a handful of big plays in every game that he's in. He did have the huge interception in Super Bowl 54 against these Chiefs.
Yeah, no question about it. And then alongside of him, Dre Greenlaw, also sort of with a little bit in the shadow of Fred Warner, but I mean, in his own right, an incredibly talented and active, aggressive linebacker. And man, he can really get it going too.
Yeah, he had the 2 interceptions against Green Bay that kind of helped turn that game around. And speaking of interception, dude, Javarius Ward, he led the NFL with career high 23 passes defensed. Why did you keep trying him? And had a career high of 5 interceptions in the regular season, 13 passes defended in 16 playoff games. And this guy was a former Chief, so
Yes.
bad blood there.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So it'd be interesting to see if he can make a big play against his former squad. So very, very interesting indeed.
And that was a little Taylor Swift reference. Dave flew right
That went
past you, but
right
yeah,
over me.
yeah.
Yeah,
Had I
completely
said
missed.
Kerry King's new band, then you might have gotten in there. That is sick, dude. I love the sound of that. I'm digressing, but Slayer is one of the best bands ever. But speaking of one of the best ever, let's go ahead and talk about this Kansas City offense.
Yep, 9th in points per game, 6th in passing, just 19th in rushing, and 15th only in points per game at 21.8 on the season. So the offense was not as prolific as we're accustomed to seeing an Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes led offense be, but as they've hit their playoff stride, they have certainly rounded into shape.
Yeah, dude. Well, I mean, that Raiders game was Christmas or Christmas Eve or something.
Yep,
The offense still looked out of sorts that late into the regular season,
that's
but
right.
these cats were bored. And then it comes the postseason. And hey, guess what? The Chiefs are back. They do whatever they want. A little bad news there. Left guard Joe Thuney. He's a long shot to even practice this week, much less play in the Super Bowl. He's got that pec injury. So he got hurt in the Ravens game. So if not, Nick Allegretti is going to start. And also, speaking of that run game struggling a little bit, Jerick McKinnon is unlikely to play this weekend too. This is a bummer because this cat has been a major part of this offense in the passing game out of the backfield.
Yeah,
So,
certainly last year's playoff
mhm.
run and in through the playoffs, he was incredibly impactful. Like you said, catching touchdowns out of the
Yeah, it
backfield.
was like 6, 8, or 9, something crazy like that. I had a whole
Six
bunch of
games in a
those.
row or something like that.
Yeah.
And the loss of Tooney, both of these tackles for the Chiefs have struggled, and that's one of the reasons I think that this offense hadn't really hit its stride.
Mhm.
The interior of the Chiefs' offensive line is very, very physical and dominant, but it's these tackles, and so losing Tooney, their best of the tackles there, is going to be an issue here for them. So they're going to have to obviously game plan around that, certainly knowing the defense that they're going against.
And we watched how badly this Chiefs team struggled when the O line was in disarray against Tommy and those Bucks. Hopefully, it's
Mm,
not a
we can
repeat of
only
that.
hope, right?
No, no, Dave. Football dudes are on the other sides of this game, AFC, NFC. But Dave, it all starts with Patrick Mahomes. I mean, it's kind of sick. They could just this guy could be the MVP. Didn't have the numbers this season, but the
Yeah.
play says something completely different.
Yeah, I mean, and we just talk about playoff starts. This includes obviously this season, but going back to last season, 6-0 with 11 TDs and 0 interceptions in his last playoffs, 6 playoff starts, 107.6 passer rating in those games. So he certainly has dialed it up
Mhm.
um, in the last postseason and this postseason as well. Versus San Francisco, he's 3-0 with over 1,000 yards passing in those 3 football games, averaging 341 yards a game, 9 TDs, and quarterback rating of 106.7 in those 3 starts, including the win in the Super Bowl 4 years ago.
Yeah, and then just as the offense woke up, Travis Kelsey woke up in the playoffs too against Baltimore in the AFC Championship. 11 catches, 116 yards, and a touchdown. That's his 8th career playoff game with 100 or more receiving yards. Tied in this cat, Jerry Rice.
Yeah,
He's
I've heard
pretty
of that
good.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, 156 postseason catches. That's the most ever, and 1,810 playoff receiving yards, 19 playoff receiving touchdowns. It's just an outstanding player. And it's so odd, it doesn't seem like he should be like why the other team knows he's this
Do
good.
they?
Like
They like pass amnesia gas out or something. It's like, oh yeah, but Travis Kelsey, and then he's just sitting there wide
wide
open.
open.
Yeah.
He knows the defenses so well that he understands the spots that he holds up in, and he finds those breakdowns in the defensive scheme, and the telepathy literally
Yeah.
between these two dudes, Mahomes and Kelsey, is off the charts. Though they know exactly what the other guy's thinking.
Yeah, and sometimes they just do what they want to, and the other guy gets it, man. And
Yeah,
that first touchdown against the Ravens, sick throw, but it's that, like you said, that mind meld that these guys know what's going on. And Kelsey, touchdown reception in 8 of his last 9 playoff games, TD catch in 2 of his 3 career Super Bowls, including the last time Super Bowl 54 against those Niners. Early on in the season, Dave, Mahomes didn't have any trusted receivers beside Travis Kelsey. As the season went on, Rashee Rice just continued to elevate his game, dude.
yeah, he did, and he has established himself amongst a group of talented potential dudes to replace Tyreek Hill as the other go-to guy.
Mhm.
Rashee Rice has emerged, 8 catches, 46 yards in the AFC Championship game, and he's got 5 or more catches in 8 of the last 9 games overall. So that shows you that he's built that consistent trust from Mahomes. So he's on a pretty nice tear heading in this postseason as well.
Yeah. And speaking of that trust, we saw Patrick Mahomes trust MVS really struggled in the regular season, had a
Big
couple
play.
of huge drops, some costly, game losing drops. And in the AFC championship, who did Mahomes go to for the game winner? MVS. And, earlier on in the, when he dropped that game, was that, I can't remember if it was a Green Bay, it was one of the Monday night games that he dropped the potential game winner. Mahomes came out and was like, I needed to take a little bit off of that. He did that in the
Yeah.
AFC Championship and made a nice catchable ball for Scantling, and he caught it and had some huge plays in the divisional round too. So these Chiefs are just bored by the regular season, and
Yeah.
is it coaching? Is it players? They're playing their best football when it matters the most, and that's something that separates good teams from great teams.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So
And dude, the running game you mentioned, they were not that 19th in rushing. It feels like a lot more than that. I think it's because the way Isaiah Pacheco runs, dude.
yeah, he like punishes defenses for attempting to tackle him. And he always seems to twist and turn and smash ahead and get extra yards. He's constantly seemingly a little bit banged up because that's how much he's just inflicting damage on the other team, and his body takes damage along the way. But I mean, just a phenomenal effort back. He runs and plays like a bigger dude than he is.
And Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he was supposed to be this rising star. He's had some good games here and there, but don't be surprised if you see this cat make a couple of huge plays on Sundays, accepted
Yeah.
his role, and he's thrived in it. He hasn't made a peep, no discord there at all. He knows his role on the team and he's embraced it. And you know, he is just a play away from something big happen too. So I like the running back situation there, even though the production hasn't been great. But Dave, we mentioned this Kansas City defense, dude. I don't think we can give them enough love on this show. It was like week 5 or 6 when we talked about the defense. You could say you can't really say that a defense is carrying the Chiefs, but they were, and that's been the
Yeah.
case. And Spags has put together something very special with these guys.
No doubt, dude. I mean, this is one of the best defenses in the league. Second in yards per game, fourth versus the pass, 18th though in rushing. So that one could be
Mhm.
crucial in this particular matchup. Second though in the most important stat, which is points given up at just over 17 points a game. Also second in sacks with 57, but they didn't force a lot of turnovers. 27th in takeaways with just 17 on the regular season. Their turnover differential was in negative 11, one of the worst in the league at the end of the year, Casey.
Yeah, and this goes to showing you how the Chiefs get ready for the post. Mahomes in the regular season, 14 interceptions. I think that's a career high. In the postseason, 0. He knows when to dial this shit in, and
Yeah.
they get it together. And I don't know if this is going to be his last game as a Chief. Chief fans certainly hopes not. Charger fans certainly hope so.
That's right. Chris Jones, dude, an absolute freaking game wrecker,
Mhm,
does not get the credit he deserves when people talk about the best defensive players in the league. He
mhm.
lines up where he wants to. They move him around. He finds matchups that where the dude can't handle his skill set. He's got
Yeah.
an unbelievable burst off the line of scrimmage, unbelievable handwork, and yeah, I mean, this guy is a difference maker, play in and play out.
Now, yeah, George Karlaftis, the Greek god of sacks. He had a sack and a fumble recovery in the AFC Championship and has a sack in 3 of his past 4 games. They get pressure up front. Spags can get busy with the blitz too, but these guys can really get after the quarterback. And they're not Warner and Greenlaw, but the combination of Bolton and Tranquil
Yeah.
for the Chiefs do a ton of work. And dude, I know it pains you, Drew Tranquil, the former Charger. He's putting
Former
together
Domer, too.
unbelievable season, especially at the value ROI off the charts, bro.
Yeah, no question. He's on a 1-year cheapo contract by the Chiefs, convinced by Andy Reid to, quote, think red. And they somehow suckered him into a team friendly deal. The guy was all over the place in the championship game. Seemed like he was making plays left and right.
Mhm.
When he wasn't making the play, like literally hitting somebody and tackling them, he was changing the play with his aggressiveness. He was all over the place. He's looking for his 3rd game in a row with 7 or more tackles. So he's just he's one of those. He is plays bigger than his body. His aggressiveness just like translates,
Yeah.
to playmaking.
And the cornerbacks and the safeties are pretty styling too. McDuffie had a really nice year, but dude, L'Jarius Sneed, 5 tackles and a forced fumble in the AFC Championship, 7 tackles and 2 pass breakups in Super Bowl 57 against those Eagles. But what about Justin Reed, bro?
Yeah, he had a sack in the championship game against Baltimore as well. That was his first career playoff sack. He has 6 tackles in each of his 2 career games versus San Francisco. So as a safety, he's aggressive, getting the job done back there. And like you said, Snead is a dude that can kind of take away the other team's
Mhm.
top receiving threat, and he's a grabby dude. He's sticky. He's all over and we'll just see what everybody in this whole thing, because when we look at this game in the bigger picture, like some of the storylines are going to be like, what will the role that the officials play
Mhm.
in this ball game? How much will a guy like Jarius Sneed get away with his little grabs? He's real good at it, and how much will various players get away with holding, whether it be offensive or defensive?
Yeah, Bill Vinovich. It's going to be an all-star crew, but that's the ref. It'll be interesting to see how tight they play this game or what they call there. But Dave, so how do you see this thing playing out on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably going to play out a lot like the Super Bowl did last time when these two teams met. I look at this Niners team um, as a a chance to get out in front, but if they don't put away the Chiefs, they'll suffer the same fate that they did last time, where they were out in front 20-10 and were scored on 3 unanswered touchdowns and gave up the Super Bowl victory to this Chiefs squad. You can't let Mahomes hang around. So
Mhm.
they have the Niners have to sort of set the tone offensively, and if they can establish the running game against this very good Chiefs defense, but whose weakest spot was stopping the run. If they can get McCaffrey going, then that will go a huge way for this
Mhm.
49ers offense to sort of start clicking. And then they need to stack some points.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting because now this Chiefs team, they can hit you. You want to do a shootout? We can play that game. If it has to be a grinded out defensive battle, they can do that as well. Against those Ravens a couple weeks ago, didn't score a point in the second half, but it didn't matter because that defense was
Held it
just
down.
like, yeah. So it's a very fascinating game. The run will be a huge part of what if San Francisco does have success, if they stick with it early, really,
Mhm.
commit to those running formations and just try to pound the rock there.
Be
And what
physical.
what can Spags dial up? Nobody's really been able to get Purdy off his mark, except that game that they had when they got blowed out by the Ravens and had all those turnovers. But
Yeah.
teams have a clunker here and there. But what can Spags dial up? Can they get pressure back there? And then can the backside of the Chiefs hold up? And I think the Chiefs will be able to score offensively, and they're going to run more than they have in the past, holding on to the ball, not turning this thing over. Who's going to make the big play? Will someone have the big mistake?
Yeah.
Probably going to come down to the
And you talked
final
about
drive.
Spags, Casey, but how about the other side with we've got Shanahan and Reed. Reed, we talked about, couldn't get over the big couldn't get the big win, couldn't win
Hmm.
the big game ultimately for a large portion of his career. Shanahan has suffered that as coordinator for the Falcons, and then also losing the Super Bowl with the 49ers. Will Shanahan be able to get over the hump? Both of these guys are super geniuses. Both have had an extra week, and we know Andy Reid with that extra week, historically speaking,
Hmm.
that means there's going to be some uh, you know fancy plays, something that we haven't seen all season long that they've been working on for a while but
Yep.
haven't shown. And so, which team is going to be able to dial up some stuff scheme wise offensively to specifically attack the defense that they're going against?
Cannot wait to see this one. Like I said, the dudes are divided. Dave's with the Bay Area boys. I'm going with those Kansas City Chiefs. And if you dig prop bets or just want to be the coolest dude at your Super Bowl party, head on over to footballdudes.com. Dave has put together a killer prop sheet, some of the best bets out there. Go to the site, print it up, bring them to the party, and it's easier to make friends that way. Dave, you have a favorite prop that you're looking forward to this weekend?
I know heads or tails. Casey's my favorite. I'm going tails. It never fails. But I'll tell you what, folks. The prop sheet is really unique because it's a 10-question deal, and each question is essentially a 50-50 proposition. You have to decide heads or tails, et cetera, as you go down the list. and it's pretty exciting. $5 a person, $10 a person, whatever you want. Winner take all. It turns out to be a nice additive to the grid that has become so popular for these big games.
That's right, baby. Oh, how stoked are you, bro?
Woo! Completely stoked. How about you?
Totally stoked, baby. Ain't nothing to it but to do it. Let's get it on. Sunday, Super Bowl 58. The 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs for NFL supremacy. So many ways you can check out the Football Dudes. The Trend Zone now available for subscription on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music.
Yep. And subscribe to our YouTube channel, please. Go ahead and like us on Instagram and Facebook. Follow us on Twitter, aka X, at Football Dudes LA. And make sure you tag us across all the social media platforms, please.
And if you're out there surfing the webs, go ahead and bookmark footballdudes.com. You will not regret it. That is going to do it for this episode of the Trend Zone. We're not the suits that talk football. We're the dudes that know football. For Dave, I am Casey. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Ow!
Oh, yeah.